And now, let's talk about a complete 180-degree turn. The President of the United States surprised everyone twice this week. Not only did he unfreeze the supply of anti-missile systems for the Patriots and other arsenals in Ukraine that had been blocked in Poland. For the first time during this term, Donald Trump may provide us with his presidential military aid package worth $300 million. So far, this has only been reported by the Western press, citing informed sources. There are no official statements at this time. However, the American leader has promised some stunning decisions as early as Monday. So, is the friendship with Putin over? Or is this just a new game of nerves? TSN Week correspondent Iryna Prokofieva reports on events that directly determine our survival.
Expensive and advanced missiles for the Patriot air defense systems, along with 155mm caliber artillery shells and powerful salvos for the HIMARS rocket launchers are already on their way to Ukraine, providing crucial support. A week of nervous anticipation, political scandals, and finger-pointing over who blocked military aid ended with a brief statement on the Pentagon's website. Quote, "By order of President Trump, the Department of Defense is sending additional defensive weapons to Ukraine so that Ukraine can defend itself while we work on establishing lasting peace and ending the killings." The Ministry of Defense was made the scapegoat for halting the flow of weapons. And Donald Trump announces a new strategy. The United States will now sell its weapons to allies, and those allies will then transfer them to Ukraine.
I know they've made a request. We'll consider it. It's an expensive, very expensive system.
The usually cautiously optimistic international affairs expert Alexander Kara can't hide his disappointment. He explains, what Trump is proposing will help us survive, but it won't change the course of the war.
Doesn't it seem to you like that joke about the goat? President Zelensky has repeatedly appealed, saying, let us buy, and let Europeans buy this weaponry for us. Now it seems that they have finally made such a decision.
Europe is reacting quickly to the decision made in Washington. The thick, acrid smoke over Kiev after the Russian shelling is giving Germany and Norway extra motivation to help close the Ukrainian skies. President Zelensky assures there will be others as well.
My urgent request concerns 10 advanced Patriot missile defense systems and the corresponding substantial number of interceptor missiles specifically designed for these crucial systems. Germany is ready to pay for 2 systems. Norway is ready to pay for 1 system. Other European partners will join as well.
This statement is being made in Rome at the Conference on Ukraine's Recovery, which this year has become the main investment platform for our country. A large gathering of leaders from 13 governments, 5 presidents, and dozens of ministers, most of whom have personally visited Kiev. Images of Ukraine's burning capital are both striking and unifying.
For the first time at these conferences, everything is about defense and the defense industry.
The meeting in Rome took place at a pivotal moment for Trump regarding Russia. The New York Times comes out with the headline, Putin screwed up. And in the article itself, there's an explanation of what exactly ended the warm friendship between the White House host and the Kremlin. After numerous acts of coercing Kiev into making concessions, diplomatic blackmail, halting arms supplies, threats to pull out of negotiations, endless calls to Moscow, Trump finally realized that Putin had turned all of this into his personal defeat. And that's the one thing Donald Trump cannot tolerate.
To be honest, Putin is always telling us a bunch of nonsense.
The Financial Times notes, the Kremlin irritated Trump so much that he announced an important statement on Russia for Monday, without giving any details. However, experts suggest that this refers to the Graham-Blumenthal bill on secondary sanctions for buyers of Russian oil. It is already in the U.S. Congress, and supposedly Trump is even ready to sign it. However, there is one condition. The American leader can lift or impose these restrictions against Moscow at any time without approval from lawmakers. Whether Donald Trump will play this trump card, we'll find out as soon as tomorrow. But another political sensation also points to a shift away from Moscow toward Kiev. For the first time, the United States of America has joined the meeting of the coalition of willing countries. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg literally read from a piece of paper, Ukraine must make its own decisions, and the U.S. will not rush to withdraw from the negotiations. Will the U.S. administration change its rhetoric as soon as tomorrow? That question remains open. Anything can be expected here. Moreover, on the other side of the planet, Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov during the summit in Malaysia these days. Putin's loyal subordinate is passing on new proposals for a peace agreement to Trump.
To me, this is a new, different approach. But again, I wouldn't call it a guarantee of peace. However, this is a concept that I will present to the president today.
Alexander Kara claims that the Kremlin also sees that Washington is already fed up with Russia's peace plans. But this is the only thing that, at least publicly, can keep Trump from imposing sanctions.
Putin hopes that at least until autumn he can seize more territory. Plus, he thinks that from these positions, he can then negotiate with both the Europeans and the Americans.
As confirmation of these words, there's the telling visit of a smiling Lavrov to Kim Jong-un and the high praise for North Korean soldiers in the war in Ukraine, which basically means it needs to be repeated because Russia is gathering troops for another operation. This week, Ukrainian intelligence reported that Moscow has ordered an increase in its military presence in Armenia, which has been unruly lately. The Russian base in Gyumri, located on the border with Azerbaijan, is being reinforced with personnel and equipment amid escalating tensions with Baku. Aliyev is not only pulling his country out of Russia's sphere of influence, but is also dragging neighboring Armenia along with him. This week in Abu Dhabi, without any Russian intermediaries, who for 27 years pretended to be peacekeepers in Nagorno-Karabakh, Ilham Aliyev and Nikol Pashinyan began preparing a peace agreement. Without any regard for Moscow, and therefore without considering its interests.
It is very important that Armenia and Azerbaijan finally resolve the issue of opening the Zangezur project. And then, logistics routes, including those from Asia and China, will be integrated into supply projects to Europe and other parts of the world without Russia's involvement.
To understand what the Zangezur corridor is, you just need to look at a map of the region. Moscow has acted as a peacekeeper not only in the Karabakh conflict. Armenia literally cuts through the territory of Azerbaijan, separating the Nakhchivan region from it, a situation that also came about with Russia's involvement. A truncated Azerbaijan locked in perpetual conflict meant that Moscow had complete control over its oil competitor.
All flows related to energy resources and the north-south, east-west logistics routes pass through Azerbaijan, and undoubtedly, for Europe, it is a stable partner for the neutral supply of gas and other energy resources.
Peace in the region is a direct threat to the income of the gas station country. That's why Putin is forced to amass troops at his Caucasus base. For now, he has declared war on Azerbaijani fruit. But does Russia even have the strength for a real war in the Caucasus, even with cannon fodder from North Korea?
I can say one thing. I've come up with a new term: Russians are military impotents.
Even the pro-Russian Prime Minister Robert Fico, who went to Moscow to bow to Putin and this week blocked the devastating 18th package of sanctions against Russia, set a condition. He is ready to give his approval if he can get off Russia's gas hook without consequences for himself. Gas from Azerbaijan could be an excellent alternative, and the Ukrainian gas transmission system, despite the suspension of transit, still remains reliable. Perhaps that's exactly what Energy Minister Herman Halashchenko went to Baku to discuss right now. Well, it seems the Kremlin's Kashiai needle has clearly been found. Iryna Prokofieva, Oksana Rodionova, Ilya Shinkarenko, and Valentin Shelko. TSN Week, 1+1, Marathon, United News.